What's going on, family? On today's video, we're going to be diving into the most mysterious and strange TikToks nobody can explain. Hit that like and subscribe button and let's dive in.
Deliberate design priorities.
This technology appeared in the public with U.S. patent 11354-666B1, Smart Dust usage, which was filed on May 26, 2016, and granted on June 7, 2022. It is assigned to Wells Fargo Bank and describes a system for authenticating a user making a payment using Smart Dust. Smart Dust is technically known as MEMS, micro-electromechanical systems, and is comprised of what are called motes. A mote is a single, self-contained microsensor node. Each mote measures 1 cubic millimeter or less and is roughly the size of a grain of sand. These motes are released as clouds with thousands of sensor nodes simultaneously sampling the target from multiple angles and positions. The biometric data being collected includes location, facial and body recognition, heart rate, blood pressure, body temperature, breath rate, voice recognition, and fingerprint scanning. The system is designed to create a unique cryptographic signature for every individual based on biological and behavioral data, and is designed to operate without being noticed. The patent describes the motes as a cloud around the user, but UC Berkeley researchers have successfully implanted Smart Dust sensors into rats in order to monitor and control nerve and muscle activity.
It almost is like the molecules that it would need for your digital twin is what I'm getting.
This technology requires no batteries and relies on ultrasound to draw power. Scientists claim that for humans, internal Smart Dust devices could monitor vital signs and could enable control over prosthetics and robotic limbs.
That reminds me of the Matrix when they were using humans as a battery. You know what I'm saying? The Smart Dust might be able to be charged electrically by the human body itself. Maybe that's why I'm feeling a little drained. Because I'm trying to charge up these damn nanobots and Smart Dust they putting in us.
In March 2022, the University of Washington's Dandelion breakthrough, partially funded by the U.S. Air Force, deployed tiny battery-free wireless sensors by wind, inspired by dandelion seeds. The senior author stated that our prototype suggests that you could use a drone to release thousands of these devices in a single drop. In 2024, a large blanket of fog affected the United Kingdom, the USA, and Canada. Over 20,000 travelers in the UK and 3.8 million drivers in the USA were impacted. People described it as a thick blanket of fog with a particle-like appearance, which had an odd chemical, electrical, or burning smell to it.
It's like they trying to say all these wildfires are popping up. Is that really what's going on? All these wildfires? Or is it something else?
And many people claim to experience fever, coughing, sore throat, headache, and fatigue after exposure. The fog hit during the Christmas and New Year travel period, when millions were moving around for the holidays. A second patent, US 11748-578B1, Predictive Text system, was filed in November 2021 and granted on September 2023 to Wells Fargo Bank. This patent describes a system that uses neural networks and machine learning to analyze and predict.
Wells Fargo?
Your financial thoughts and intentions in real time as you type. Combined with the biometric data from Smart Dust, this creates a system that can monitor both what you're physically doing and what you're thinking about financially. A predictive behavioral surveillance system designed to be always on and continuously learning. This is the exact infrastructure needed for implementing a social credit system. The Smart Dust market was valued at $153.9 million in 2024 and is estimated to grow at a compound annual growth rate of over 14.3% from 2025 to 2034. Industrial use has increased significantly in 2023 and 2024, with integration of artificial intelligence and machine learning algorithms now allowing smart dust devices to analyze data locally and make autonomous decisions. This technology is currently moving from laboratories to public deployment, which has naturally caused concern. In the 1950s and 60s, the U.S. Army conducted open-air biological and chemical tests over American cities.
Deliberate design priorities.
Damn, that was it. That was a good one, man. I need this whole video. You know, I remember when people used to think, man, yeah, they're going to have that mark of the beast in you. It sounds like they slowly trying to implement it through this smart dust. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. That was a deep one.
What's underneath your feet? Underneath your feet is the remnants of the antediluvian world. What I'm showing you here in North America, we could go all over the earth and find the equivalent. What's underneath your feet? Underneath your feet is the remnants of the antediluvian world.
Antediluvian world, what does that mean? What does antediluvian world means?
The antediluvian world is a grandiose term referring to the age before a cataclysmic flood, most famously the biblical flood of Noah. In the imagination, it conjures a mythical era of giant creatures, long-lived humans, and lost civilizations shrouded in mist. Think of it as an ancient chapter of the world's epic hidden beneath the oceans of time. It's like the Earth's prehistoric prologue before the curtains of history were even raised.
I love it. Antediluvian world. I gotta start using that. How'd he say it?
What's underneath your feet? Underneath your feet is the remnants of the antediluvian world.
Antediluvian world. Underneath your feet is the antediluvian world. Yeah, that sounds good. This 33-degree hidden knowledge about energy manipulation is mind-blowing. Oh yeah? Let's dive into this and get a closer look at this footage.
There is hidden knowledge about energy manipulation that only the chosen few of the 33rd degree from the most secret societies have mastered. Manly P. Hall revealed these forbidden techniques in his lecture during the 1973 Scottish Rite ceremony, where he was recognized as a 33-degree Mason 47 years after writing The Secret Teachings of All Ages. The air you breathe is not empty space. It is the densest and most complex magnetic field known, where each planet emits its unique frequency through this invisible matrix. Egyptian priests measured these fields millennia ago for healing. Pythagoras recorded how temple geometric solids, cubes, octahedrons, dodecahedrons, emitted specific therapeutic frequencies. Franz Mesmer demonstrated.
Did he say octahedrons? Like the specimens we cover? Could it be possible that those emit frequency? I've never been one to dive into crystals and frequency, but that is interesting to say the least.
Demonstrated that people forming circles around magnetized water in his tank created functional human batteries. Walter John Kilner photographed the etheric field extending 3 to 5 feet from the physical body, up to 1.5 meters of invisible protection. Your moral conduct is not religious decree. Every lie, every selfish act, every emotional outburst tears verifiable holes in this magnetic shield. What you call evil is beneficial energy failing to manifest properly. Alcohol, narcotics, and destructive emotions pierce your natural magnetic protection. 17th century Rosicrucians knew.
Or, as I've been learning, it defiles your temple. You want to keep your temple clean from all those types of sustenance. You know, you want to put in nothing but good in your temple.
Personal field integrity determines health, longevity, and the evolution of consciousness.
There exists a knowledge about the manipulation of vital energy that only initiates of the 33rd degree of the most ancient orders possess complete access to. This is not a metaphor or a symbol. It is a precise science of controlling the magnetic fields that govern human existence. Those who master these principles managed to maintain perfect health for decades, influence events through directed energetic emanations, and access states of consciousness that common humanity considers impossible. Every human body exists at the center of a pulsating magnetic field that responds instantaneously to thoughts, emotions, and moral choices.
There's a saying that we got so many trillion cells in our body, so that's why you never want to talk bad or negative about yourself, because the trillions of cells inside your body don't know the difference. So never say anything bad or you can't do anything. If anything, you keep saying it so you can do it, so your trillions of cells can align itself with you and it can manifest.
The ancient Egyptian priests knew every detail of this field. They knew how to strengthen it, how to direct it, and how to use it to heal or to destroy. This knowledge was considered too dangerous for the masses. For millennia, it remained guarded in sealed chambers beneath the pyramids, transmitted only through initiations that required decades of preparation.
What was the archive that people said was under the pyramids? Or specifically the Sphinx, is how the legend goes. I'm trying to think of what type of archives or hidden knowledge that they said that was hidden under the Sphinx. It was like a certain name.
The tantalizing whispers around the Sphinx. You might be thinking of the so-called Hall of Records. According to legend...
No, it wasn't the Hall of Records. It was like some type of knowledge. Some type of hidden knowledge that it was called.
I see. You might be thinking of something like the Akashic records, often described as a cosmic compendium of all knowledge, past, present, and future.
No, this bust down. Just give me 10 of the possible knowledge that people talk about that are hidden under the Sphinx and under the pyramid. Just list 10 of them. Don't go into detail.
Alright, here's a swift parade of legendary ideas people have conjured up. First, lost Atlantean wisdom. Second, ancient technological blueprints. Third, the origins of humanity. Fourth, extraterrestrial contact records. Fifth, secret prophecies of future cataclysms. Sixth, the hidden tomb of a forgotten pharaoh. Seventh, maps to lost civilizations. Eighth, esoteric spiritual teachings. Ninth, the record of pre-dynastic rulers. 10th, blueprints for advanced energy systems.
No, that wasn't it. Maybe it was the ecclesiastic records. But bust that down for me. What's the ecclesiastic records?
The ecclesiastic records don't quite exist as a famed concept, but let's riff. If they did, you'd imagine them as the sacred ledger of religious history, like a grand scroll that details the divine drama of spiritual teachings, holy events, and maybe even the top secret minutes of celestial meetings. In other words, it would be the ultimate behind the scenes of faith.
But we don't have that, though. It's just speculation, right? Nobody found that.
Exactly. No archaeological shovel has ever hit an ecclesiastic jackpot.
I think it was the Hall of Records, maybe, that was under the pyramid. Drop your thoughts below.
What humanity calls evil simply represents the absence or distortion of the benevolent energy trying to manifest itself. When the personal magnetic field maintains its natural integrity, destructive thoughts cannot...
There is hidden knowledge about energy manipulation that only...
Now, I want to know what's under the Sphinx or pyramid now. I got to see what it's called now.
There's something under the Sphinx, and we already know there's something under the Sphinx, and we're just gonna keep ignoring it. First-hand accounts, radar scans, and countless historic records have confirmed this time and time again, with many of these suggesting it may be the legendary Hall of Records, and there's a good reason they'd be hiding what's inside. Don't get me wrong, archaeologists are incredible, with historic finds like King Tut's tomb back in 1922 igniting...
So that's what it was, Hall of Records.
a surge of new digs into Egypt for the next big find. One of the earliest projects was fully digging out the Sphinx, which had up until then been mainly covered in sand and took about 10 years, finishing in 1936, around which time people started to notice the Sphinx was much more than it seemed. Archaeologist and journalist Hamilton M. Wright, who was closely involved with the dig, writes an article about something amazing they found beneath it. Something that he called a subway used by the ancient Egyptians 5,000 years ago between the second pyramid and the Sphinx. And that from this subway, they dug up many more shafts going down more than 125 feet beneath the sand with, quote, roomy courts and side chambers, all underground. Many more articles in academic journals and international mainstream news about this find came out over the next several years, talking about massive hallways, stone support columns, buildings, and even paintings and carvings on the walls inside these subterranean chambers. Essentially, kind of describing what some consider to be a secret underground city beneath the Sphinx back in the 1930s. Allegedly, even photos were taken of this underground complex when all of a sudden the story fades away and focus instead shifted on all the other tombs. Was it suppressed by a group of people that maybe found out what really was down there and didn't want the rest of the world to know? Because it wasn't the first time in history that a city under the Sphinx was mentioned. No, people have been talking about this for at least 1500 years. In the 5th century BC, Greek historian Herodotus wrote the Histories, in which he talked about going to Egypt, where he was shown the legendary Labyrinth of Egypt. According to ancient lore, the Labyrinth of Egypt held a mythical underground archive which contained the lost knowledge of our ancient past, perhaps before the flood. Herodotus explained this underground complex in incredible detail, claiming that it even connected many of the pyramids together. In fact, his explanation was so detailed that 17th century scholar Athanasius Kircher was even able to recreate the entire map of the labyrinth from his writing. Then, in the 1st century BC, Greek historian Diodorus also talked about a sprawling underground enclosure with columns, buildings, temples, and paintings in his work Bibliotheca Historica. 1st century AD, Greek philosopher Strabo also claims to have visited a similar place in Egypt in his work Geographica, calling it a great palace composed of many palaces. Around the same time, Roman author Pliny the Elder wrote of a bewildering maze of paths that made up the underground complex in Egypt. 4th century Syrian philosopher Iamblichus recorded info about a subterranean tunnel system under the Giza Plateau that was accessed through the body of the Sphinx. Al-Masudi in the 10th century writes of these same underground tunnels and galleries, guarded by what he claims to be mechanical statues that almost sound like robots over 1,000 years ago. Quoted as saying, "I have seen things that one does not describe for fear of making people doubt one's intelligence, but I have still seen them." Again,
so he's basically saying, yeah, there's some crazy looking Sphinx robots down there guarding the Hall of Records. Allegedly. That is insane. And interesting at the same time. What did they see down there? Did the Vatican snatch all that stuff up?
Giving amazing detail on how incredibly complicated the network was. So yeah, quite a few notable people throughout history agree there's something big under the sands of Egypt, notably the Sphinx. Bringing us right back to the 1930s when someone named Edgar Cayce reaffirmed these ancient records once again. Cayce was a famed American psychic who predicted many world events like the stock market crash, WW2, the fall of the Soviet Union, and accurately diagnosed patients telepathically. Now,
I haven't heard about Edgar Cayce in a while. I remember my old coworker at the paper mill. That's all he used to talk about was Edgar Cayce. He even gave me a book on it. I never read it, but we used to go back and forth, man, all day. We'll get in trouble just bouncing theories back off each other. And I remember the supervisor yelling, "Hey, you quit talking about fairies and spaceships and get back to work." I'm like, oh, whatever. They don't know nothing.
whether you believe he actually was clairvoyant or not is on you, but he was quite famous for it and had a pretty impressive track record to boot. When one day he spoke of a prophecy of the Sphinx, claiming it to not actually be 4,500 years old, but closer to 10,000, and that the Hall of Records would be found beneath the Sphinx in the 1990s, with the entrance under the right paw. Pretty specific. In 1978, the Edgar Cayce Foundation launched an excavation project around the Sphinx, where they started to drill beneath it, but were stopped by the Egyptian army. And then guess what happened in the 90s? Egyptologist John Anthony West and geologist Robert Schoch led studies into and around the Sphinx, and their conclusions almost lined up perfectly with Cayce's visions, taking seismic surveys revealing that unexplained tunnels and chambers were found under it, and the water erosion hypothesis suggesting it to be closer to 10,000 years old, which they showed in their 1993 documentary The Mystery of the Sphinx, confirming straight edges and sharp angles in these chasms that were...
You know, the Sphinx might be a cover-up from another reset. This world is a resets upon resets upon resets of civilizations of uncovering older civilizations and just moving in.
very unlikely to be natural. And then Zahi Hawass, the guy appointed by the Egyptian government to oversee all investigations into ancient archaeology at the time, stopped the research, banning Western Schoch from the site, calling their findings American hallucinations, the 90s version of lies and misinformation. But
I wouldn't be surprised if the Vatican slipped him a couple mil and was like, man, let's bring that all over here and tell them they crazy.
all of a sudden, in 1996, Hawass greenlights a project to investigate under the Sphinx after receiving $10 million in funding to do so. It was so big, they even released a teaser trailer for it, showing Hawass going through tunnels under the Sphinx and hyping them up, where he's quoted on record as saying, "We are now inside the Sphinx in this tunnel. This tunnel has never been opened before. No one really knows what's inside this tunnel, but we are going to open it for the first time." Video ends, and over the next few months, Hawass and his team tell the world of a series of previously unknown tunnels that exist under the Sphinx. Reports coming out of drill samples going 100 feet straight down finding red granite, something that geologists confirm does not naturally occur that deep. Ancient Egypt commonly used red granite in their buildings and statues. Could that have been one? Then, out of nowhere, Hawass just scraps the whole project without explaining what they found down there and insists there is nothing under the Sphinx, even getting angry at anyone who questioned it, which really didn't help his case in insisting there's really nothing down there. But
Why just end it? Why just say there's nothing under there? You know, it's almost like he found something and he didn't want to tell other people, you know, because why give up the mystery? You know, of course, everyone wants to keep digging. They just recently found LiDAR scans just showed new structures under the pyramids, you know, so why be so quick just to give up what's under it is my question. Something definitely is fishy about this.
Philosophers and historians throughout the centuries all wrote about it. Excavation projects in the 1930s confirmed it. Weston Schoch's investigations in the 90s, followed by Hawass's excavations, reconfirmed it. As recently as 2008, the Mataha Expedition launched in Egypt using ground-penetrating radar that indicated the presence of grid-like and ordered structures deep beneath the sand, only to be told there's nothing down there and everyone else had been lying and hallucinating for hundreds of years. Even official reports from the 1830s, which conducted earlier excavations in front of the Sphinx, describe passageways that go deep underground, when allegedly an ominous group kinda told them to stop their work. This pattern of discovery suppression is all too common with the Great Sphinx. Secret, previously unknown chambers beneath the sand thought to contain the Hall of Records. Legend claims that as Atlantis was flooding over, they realized the importance of preserving their records, all of their accumulated knowledge for future generations. This knowledge they stored in the Hall of Records. Secrets of alchemy, immortality, levitation, frequencies, probably how they built everything, and other forgotten ancient wisdom. Essentially, the Google search engine of the Atlantean internet, with the Sphinx as its firewall. And
I do want to see how they made Kailas a temple. And if the Hall of Records had that, that would be interesting. I know the locals speak of like the Hindu tradition of them, the Hindu gods, I guess, using some type of solar technology. But I would like them to elaborate more on that.
the even fringier theories claim that Egypt isn't the only place that has one, with mountains and rock formations closely resembling the Sphinx found all over the world. In the Grand Canyon, Colorado, Romania, Pakistan, Guatemala, said to be even older and hence clearly more eroded, but this one might be a stretch, it could just be pareidolia. But people are quick to say archaeologists are all dying to make a discovery like this, and I bet they all are. So why on earth would they ever want to hide it from us? Well, because it's not them doing the hiding. The Hall of Records is an ancient library containing the wisdom of our past. Wisdom like, I don't know, levitation, free energy, maybe immortality that would be accessible to everyone and likely bankrupt the trillion-dollar industries of our modern world. Gee, I wonder why they wouldn't want the world to know about something like this. So naturally, the billionaire elites would do everything they can to keep it hidden if it ever was actually found, hypothetically speaking. When their entire global empires are on the line, there's no amount of money they wouldn't invest to keep this a secret. Hey, as usual, just a crazy theory that could very well be a rumor, but it might not. Keep on questioning.
But I think the biggest cover up is this Sphinx more than anything. I'm still mad how they took the lion head off and then carved this Egyptian face on it.
Of course, we didn't know where it was going to go. And so 3 weeks I spent down in the darkness. Of course, we didn't know where it was going to go. And so 3 weeks I spent down in the darkness underneath the Great Sphinx.
We search it everywhere, but there is nothing hidden underneath.
So just to clarify, they spent an entire 3 weeks excavating an empty tunnel. So this is the part where things get weird, because you should know that these still images from the clip you just saw are quite literally the only examples of this tunnel that have been ever made available to the public. And notice that they do not show where that tunnel goes, and in fact, we see nothing more than the entrance of the tunnel itself. But not only that, the original 16-page report on the excavation of this tunnel only includes these pictures and illustrations that you're seeing here. This is it, and half of them are from outside of the Sphinx. But so what? I mean, they assured us that there's nothing down there anyways, right?
We search it everywhere, but there is nothing hidden underneath.
Whoa, wait a second. What was that last part he said?
But there is nothing hidden underneath. Nothing hidden underneath.
Not anymore, because you done pawned it to the damn Vatican. Bucko?
Do you want to know why that's shaped like that? Like, why is it shaped in that arch shape? It's because that is a giant electromagnet. Because this old world civilization utilized the ether to distribute free energy throughout their entire society. And these arches found in many European cities. There's one in France called the Arc de Triomphe, probably the most famous one. These arches are giant electromagnets, part of their giant power grid system to distribute free energy across their civilization. And look at the detail on this thing. They're always depicted as what we know today as Greek people. You know, like Plato and all of the Greek gods and the Roman stories. That was this worldwide Tartarian civilization. And look at the detail on this building. So this was designed to harness the ether. Remember, it's the electromagnetic energy that connects all things. It's all around. And it's invisible to the human eye. But that's what that's for. Every shape here was designed with intention. All of that detail. And inside of this, there's metal. Like I said, this is a giant magnet.
How does he know it's made out of metal? And what's under it is the question. I would like to see the entire network. Throw a magnet at it. Let's see if it sticks.
Electromagnet.
Look at the comments. Someone said Rome is an anagram for more. They just inverted history. People are starting to wake up, man. Maybe now I see why they trying to push all these damn data centers to maximize this grid. Because we're learning too much. And look at this other comment. It says the panels at the top on the inside look like sound patterns. You know, like you'll see in a studio. Let's take another closer look. Yeah. Something's definitely venerating over here, man. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. The Vatican named their telescope LUCIFER, and they won't tell us why. You have got to be kidding me. There is no way.
The Vatican owns a telescope, and they named it LUCIFER. The same institution that tells you the devil is evil built an infrared telescope and named it after him. And what they are looking for is even more disturbing. This is not a conspiracy theory. The Vatican Advanced Technology Telescope sits on Mount Graham in Arizona, operated jointly by the Vatican Observatory and the University of Arizona. LUCIFER stands for Large Binocular Telescope Near Infrared Utility, with camera and integral field unit for extragalactic research. A name so specific, It could only have been chosen deliberately. Here is where it gets interesting. Jesuit astronomers have publicly stated they are searching for extraterrestrial intelligence. Father Jose Funes, former director of the Vatican Observatory, said believing in aliens does not contradict faith in God. The oldest religious institution on earth is actively searching for something in the sky, and they named their instrument after a fallen angel. But here's where it gets darker. Mount Graham is sacred Apache land. The tribe fought legally for years to stop the construction. They said the mountain holds ancient knowledge and that disturbing it would have consequences. The Vatican built it anyway. What is on that mountain or coming toward it that was worth starting a legal war over sacred ground? They preach from the pulpit on Sunday and scan the heavens with Lucifer every other night. Whatever they are expecting to find, they have not told us. Follow for more of what they don't teach you.
That is outrageous. Still eating greens in the wintertime. Let's check out this greenhouse he made, and it looks like it's thriving in the winter. Man, I wonder what the temperature is in there. Look at that lettuce. It looks so crisp, so good. 28 degrees inside there. Fresh veggies. You gotta love it, guys. That's what I want. If you have any information on wintertime veggies and making a greenhouse, drop it in the comments below. I'm sure the community would love to hear it and it can help us out. It's that time of the day again. If you thought I didn't have another excellent specimen for you today, think again. All right, we have another amazing specimen, a beautiful double spray malachite from Namibia. A lovely example of a fibrous malachite from Namibia. Apologize if I'm butchering that, but look at this specimen. I already know what I'm gonna name this. The rating I'm gonna give this specimen for the uniqueness, color, vibrancy, I'm gonna give this about an 8.9, and I'm gonna call this the Emerald Mermaid Makeup Brush. 8.5, the Emerald Mermaid Makeup Brush. I want to hear your rating and your name in the comments below for this specimen. That's all we got for today's video. If you enjoyed this one, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. It's the best way to help this channel out. It helps the algorithm out, get this more into like-minded people. And I just want to say thank you so much for tuning in with me. The code word for today is Smart Dust. Go ahead and put Smart Dust in the comments below. When you do that, that lets me know you're a real one. You made it all the way to the end of the video and you really rock with your boy. I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. I really do love you guys. I'm just not saying that. I'm pretty sure you guys can tell, you know. But that's all I got. Might go outside for a walk, you know. Probably not going to double up today. Try to go outside. It's a nice day. I believe it's 75 degrees outside right now. Tie my shoes tight. Take a deep breath. Walk around a lake or something, you know. Eat some healthy food. I think I might make a pizza sub sandwich. Try to do like a Hungry Howie's steak sandwich copycat recipe. I buy the pizza crust. You want to write this down. This is huge. I get the pizza crust from the Pillsbury pizza crust from the refrigerated section. And then you take some cornmeal and you put that on a pan. You can rub some butter or some olive oil on the back of the pizza crust, but I spin it, the pizza crust, just to make it wider because it comes up condensed. So I throw it in the air, try not to hit the ceiling. Then lay it on top of that cornmeal, flip it over, spray it some more, add a little Italian seasoning on top, flip it back over, do the same thing, spray it, Italian seasoning, and then throw it in the oven at 350. And then after that, while it's in the oven, get you some chopped up steak, some asada, some shaved steak. You can use chicken if you want, but I'm gonna use steak. and throw that in the pan, cook it real good. You can throw mushrooms if you want in there. I don't want no mushrooms. I'm just going to do steak. And about when the pizza bread is halfway done, you take it out the oven, you put it on top, you put your steak on top of the bread, and then you cut mozzarella cheese, or you can use whatever cheese you want. I use mozzarella. You flip that in half. You spray the top again, put some more butter or some Italian seasoning on the top, and then it will melt into like a sandwich. And then while it's cooking, you chop up some tomatoes, as thin as you can, half a tomato as thin as you can, some fresh lettuce, wash your lettuce, chop it up good. And then after about 8 minutes, after it's been in there again, 5 or 8 minutes, fit about 10, 13 minutes total, take it out, open it up. It's going to be gooey. Then throw the tomatoes and lettuce in. And then here's the part you cannot forget. Italian dressing. Get some Italian dressing. Put it on top of that lettuce and tomato. Man, chop that bad boy up. The cornmeal makes it crunchy. You bite into the cold lettuce, but the cold lettuce and the cold tomato, and you can taste the steak and the melted cheese and the crunchy bread. Man, it's delicious. I made it the other day, just, trying stuff out, and man, it was a hit. I might make a video showing y'all how to make this, because it was delicious, y'all. Try it out. Don't skimp out on the meat. Make sure you use the cornmeal at the bottom of the pizza crust. That makes a difference. It has to cook. Don't try adding it at the end. You have to do it in the beginning. But yeah, that's all I got for you guys today, man. The little Dark Waters 9 recipe. We get hungry on these waters, y'all. But till next time, man, I love y'all, man. Be smooth.